Ryan Murphy and Ian Brennan's American limited biographical drama television series Dahmer. Monster. The Jeffrey Dahmer story premiered on Netflix on September 21, 2022, for one season. The first week after its release, the Jeffrey Dahmer story climbed to the top of the Netflix rankings. You shouldn't be surprised if the majority of Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story on Netflix, conforms to reality or fiction, as it is a true crime drama series. However, some of the scenarios are so horrifying that you might still wonder if they could really occur in real life. It gets even more bizarre and scary when more and more of the 10-part series about this story is revealed. After an outcry on social media, Netflix removed the LGBTQ designation from the series on September 23, 2022. In this video, we will reveal the bad side of the Jeffrey Dahmer series. Before starting the video, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to never miss out on any of our videos. Dahmer is the most recent in a long line of a murderer or criminal-centered narratives inspired by actual events. The interest in serial killers predates Silence of the Lambs. It can be seen in gory fiction and nonfiction, as well as in movies like Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile from 2019, with Zac Efron playing serial killer Ted Bundy. The glibly named My Favorite Murder is one of several nonfiction books and podcasts available. With true crime serials like The Staircase, Making a Murderer, Tiger King, and the serial killer drama Mindhunter, Netflix has already entered the fray. However, any true crime program may glamorize the offender at the expense of the victims. Rita Isbell, the sister of one of the victims of Dahmer, Errol Lindsay, spoke with Insider about the program. At Dahmer's 1992 sentencing, she gave an emotional victim impact statement. This sequence is recreated in the television show. Isbell told Insider, "I was never approached about the show. I think Netflix ought to have gotten our consent or inquired how we felt about the production. I wasn't questioned in any way." Just like that. Others have asked for the victims to be remembered, rather than the man whose name appears twice in the show's title in social media posts. When Dahmer first debuted on Netflix, it was included in the LGBTQ category, which often hosts uplifting programs like the acclaimed romance Heartstopper. Dahmer was gay, but in response to fan backlash, Netflix has recently deleted that designation. According to Annie Schwartz, who broke the Dahmer story for the Milwaukee Journal in 1991, the Netflix dramatization wasn't entirely accurate in several respects. According to the newspaper writes, the characterization of city police officers as racist and homophobic was inaccurate, according to Schwartz, who later worked for the Milwaukee Police Department and Wisconsin Department of Justice. Niecy Nash plays Glenda Cleveland, Dahmer's neighbor in the television series. According to the depiction, she not only reported the smells and sounds of the murders to the authorities, but also lived directly next door to the murderer, staring him down in the hallway. Cleveland, who passed away in 2011, resided in a different building than Dahmer, according to Schwartz. However, Cleveland attempted to persuade the police to refrain from handing over Conrac's synthophone, a 14-year-old victim, to Dahmer, who later murdered the child. In the series, the confessed cannibal Dahmer is seen serving Cleveland, a neighbor, an odd sandwich made of meat. It was previously established that Cleveland did not genuinely reside next door to Dahmer. Therefore, all of this must be fiction, right? Not really, regrettably. Cleveland, it turns out, is a conflation of two women, Cleveland and Pamela Bass, who, in reality, resided in the Oxford apartments next door to Dahmer. Bass was questioned for a 2012 documentary titled The Jeffrey Dahmer Files, and disclosed that Dahmer had, in fact, given her a sandwich at one point. She declared, "I have probably eaten someone's body part, to put it frankly." The serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer is depicted as going to the Club 219, picking up several victims, and then transporting them back to his apartment. Jeffrey Dahmer did go to Club 219, an actual gay bar in Milwaukee. The Wisconsin LGBT History Project states that Club 219 opened in February 1981 and quickly had a reputation as one of the most incredible places in the neighborhood. The club is, however, closed today, adding more bars to the neighborhood, and the public's learning that Dahmer frequently picked up victims here. It lost some of its appeals. It is true that Jeffrey Dahmer frequently guested to his residence, and showed them The Exorcist II. He claimed that watching the movies put him in the mindset to perform his murders in a terrifying interview. Of course, Jeffrey Dahmer existed, but his crimes were so terrible that they almost seemed unimaginable. He was a problematic boy who had an early interest in dead animals and dissection. He was born in Milwaukee in 1960. Then, starting in 1978, he killed and dismembered 17 men and boys over 13 years while engaging in necrophilia, cannibalism, and the preservation of body parts and bones. In 1991, he was ultimately apprehended and given 17 life sentences. In 1994, another prisoner murdered Dahmer by beating him. Between Dahmer's terrible beginnings, killings, and eventual incarceration, the 10-episode series cuts back and forth. The series depicts the horrific nature of Dahmer's acts, as well as how the Milwaukee police disregarded neighbors' warnings that something was wrong in the murderer's flat. One of Dahmer's victims was given back to him by 2 officers after the child tried to flee the horror home, while heavily injured and under the influence of drugs. The program is unsettling, graphic, and depressing to see. After nearly a week on Netflix, it has received generally positive user reviews in addition to mixed or mediocre reviews from critics on Metacritic. The Hollywood Reporter Daniel Feinberg stated in his review, "There is a thoughtful examination of Jeffrey Dahmer's crimes, the actual persons affected, and the result here after being put through a new editing process. It commonly gets misplaced or hidden." The 6th episode of the series, Silence, is hailed by Feinberg and other commentators as a standout. It centers on Tony Hughes, one of the victims of Dahmer. Tony was deaf, and Feinberg says that by placing a black, deaf, gay individual at the heart of the story, the series is providing voice to someone whose voice has too frequently been removed from gawking serial killer depictions. Schwartz described her conversation with Jeffrey Dahmer after the publication of her 1991 book, The Man Who Could Not Kill Enough. This conversation occurred after Schwartz called out the common dramatizations in the true crime TV series Dahmer, which is not surprising given that it is based on a true story. After various psychiatrists, she went to explain Dahmer's behavior as being caused by his parents. Schwartz claimed she received a very fast phone call from the suspect. He was pretty protective of his parents, especially his mother, she recalled, especially for someone who didn't express any emotion or seem to care about anything. His voice lacked any variations. He was so bland and uninteresting. Nothing was present. He just stated that I was the only one accountable for what I'd done. Schwartz discussed how this performance is difficult for the victims' families and the residents of Milwaukee, who still consider this a terrible blemish on the city and that they don't want people to think about it, as she concluded her interview. Even after Dahmer's killings attracted attention, she noted how many people frequented the Oxford apartment in search of trinkets, with some attempting to take bricks and chunks of earth after the flats were demolished. The empty lot is still sealed off today. According to web research, only 2 families have filed lawsuits against Lionel over the book, since it depicted their lives without their consent. The episode implied that all 17 victims' families had filed claims for the proceeds from a father's story. In the end, the book didn't sell very many copies, or at least not enough to make a large donation to the victims' relatives. What are your thoughts on Dahmer? Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story? Tell us in the comments below. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the like button. We will be back soon with another video.